Goals and perspective of psychology. Okay, so we know what psychology is. We know what psychology as a subject, what is definition of psychology, what is human behavior, what type of human behavior are there, how psychology study a human behavior, and how psychology is a science. Okay, now let's start with our topic, which is goals and perspective. So first, understand what is goal. Goal, anything you want to achieve. Okay, so every subject have their goal to achieve. Every subject want to uncover something, declare something, describe something, understand something, or let the world know कि what are the basics or and fundamentals of any subject. Okay, every subject explain what they do. What psychology do? Psychology explain human behavior, study human behavior and mental processes. What is human behavior? We know human behavior, everything a person do is human behavior. Okay, everything a human do is a behavior. So everything we are doing is a behavior. So if psychology is concerned with human behavior only, we can say that psychology is concerned with everything a person do. The goal of psychology, the whole aim of psychology, the complete goal of psychology is to uncover, identify and predict human behavior. Okay, prediction is not there by looking just to face of someone. We can't say that this person have this kind of personality, but prediction do have scientific processes. Scientific steps are there to predict a human behavior. So let's study what are the basic goals of psychology. There are only four goals of psychology, which are: first is description, second is understanding, third is prediction, and fourth is control. So let's understand what are these terms are. We know these terms are so simple. Description we know, understanding we know what is prediction, we know what is control. So how these simple words are goal of a whole subject, which is psychology. First, description. Description of what? Psychology study what? Psychology is concerned with what? Human behavior. So description of a human behavior. What is a human behavior? Anything a person doing is a human behavior. So psychology tell that whatever the person is doing, what is that behavior. If I am washing my hand, this is a behavior. So psychology explained that someone is washing his hand. And if I am doing is back and back and back and back again and again, so what psychologists say, that the person is washing hand excessively. Okay, so we understand what is a behavior. So the goal, first goal of psychology is to describe what is behavior, what is happening. Okay, whatever the problem associated with it, we describe later, but first we describe what is happening. Okay, so behavior means what is happening with a person. So first goal of psychology is just to describe what is happening. Second goal, understanding. What is happening is description. So why is happening is understanding. If person is excessively washing his hand is a behavior. Why he is washing his hand so excessively? Okay, why he is washing his hand back and back, and again and again, why he is washing his hand? So this is how psychology explain why is this behavior. Psychology study that person, interview that person, test that person, and understand that the person is having impulsive and obsessive thoughts, that his hands are dirty. Anything, if he touch anything, his hands are getting more dirty. So psychology explain that the person is having obsessive thought about dirty hands, is concerned with hygiene of his body and his hands particularly. So he is washing hand whenever that thought is coming. So psychology explain what is the behavior? Excessive washing of the hand. Why is the behavior? Why is the behavior? Because he is having obsessive thoughts of hygiene. Okay. Now third part, which is like loved by everyone, which is like everyone is concerned in psychology, is just by prediction. How psychologists are predicting someone. Can you predict me? And predict me by looking to my face. Say what is in my mind. So this is not prediction. What psychology do is, psychology know what is behavior, why is behavior. So now psychology know that this behavior happen when an obsessive thought come. So psychology only predict if whenever the obsessive thought occur again in the person mind, then he will again wash the hand. So that is how psychology predict something. Okay, psychology just don't look into someone's face and say that that person is so much intelligent and this person have a lot of good character and good trait attached to its personality. No, psychology do not, and any psychologist do not predict anything like that. If anyone come up to you and say that I can predict you by looking to your face reading is another part. But if he is saying that I am a psychologist and I can do this, don't believe that person. Okay, anyone can say this thing except a psychologist, except a true psychologist. A true psychologist will never come to you and say that your face, I can read your face, I can read your behavior, and I can tell what is happening in your life. No one can do this. After a long practice, when they are know what are the symptoms attached to any behavior, what are the traits attached to any personality, then they can try. But still there are possibility that they will fail. Okay, because it is a scientific process, so it go step by step. So now you know how someone predict a behavior. So don't get confused whenever you come across the goal that psychology predict a behavior. Okay, now fourth is control. We know what is behavior, we know why is behavior, we know when this behavior will happen. So now the fourth goal of psychology, which is control. How will we control this behavior? How can we control this behavior? Okay, so fourth goal of psychology is to control the behavior. We know that person is washing excessively hand, है ना? So that's why he is having a lot of problem attached to it, because he is continuously not engaged in any work. He cannot focus. Whenever he does something, he has to go and wash his hand again. And why is happening? We know that this is happening. Why? Because he have impulsive obsessive thoughts in his mind that this behavior will happen again. So now we know that the person is doing due to obsessive thoughts. We can predict that this thing will happen again when he will having a obsessive thought. So as a psychologist, what we do is we control that obsessive thought. We detailed in a detailed way, we design intervention plan to attack in some way to the thought process. We attack to the thought process. We do not attack to any behavior. We do not provide some physical medicines, or we do not provide any medication or anything to the person. We just completely understand the behavior and counter that behavior. Okay, so that is how psychologists control a behavior. So now I think you are clear with goals of psychology. First is description, what is behavior. Second is understanding, why is behavior. Third is prediction, when this will happen again. And fourth is control, how to control that behavior. Okay, so these all are goals of psychology which are concerned to the human behavior. Now let's talk about perspective. What is perspective? Perspective is point of view of any person. You are looking to a glass and you say it is half empty, but your friend is saying it is half full. It is half full or half empty? It is the same glass, but the perception of you guys are different. That is all difference between you guys. Okay, so what psychology do is psychology understand human behavior. Now every perspective, there are a lot of perspective now developed, but basically we will study three perspectives which are attached to psychology. How a person study psychology, there are a lot of way a person study psychology. So now understand, just let's go to the perspective. We know that perspective is point of view, and we can say it is a scientific point of view, because the point of view, they provide empirical evidences why they are looking to a behavior like this. The way a perspective, a school look to the behavior or look to the understanding of psychology is perspective. So perspective is a scientific way to prove their point of view. So first point of view, first perspective of psychology we have is biological perspective. What is biology? Biology is how a human body works. Biology is attached to the human being and life. So now understand, if we are talking about human being, so biological perspective, the person attached to biological perspective and everyone associated with biological perspective view the human behavior as a part of biology. They understand that every human behavior have a biological function attached to it. So what they study human brain, especially first thing, the most important thing, the biological perspective persons think is study is biological brain. So human brain, biological brain, they study the part of brain, they study the function of brain, and they associate the human behavior with part and function of brain. They study enzymes, hormones, glands related to it, and every functioning of glands, everything attached to a human body. They understand it. They understand that someone is hungry. Hungry is a term where we are looking to the angry behavior because of lack of food. Okay, so it is a biological perspective. We are saying that the person is agitated or angry. Why? Because he is hungry, he is not having food. So now I think you guys are clear what biological perspective is. It is more detailed. It is in more detail where we study neurons, neurotransmitter, a lot of type of hormones, a lot of type of glands, all the glands attached to human body. So this is biological, this is up for biological perspective. There is a lot, there is a separate biopsychology subject which you can study. Okay, but now just understand the perspective, biological perspective, which study human behavior from a point of biology. The second one is psychological point of view. So how we study psychology by a psychological point of view? How strange. So psychological point of view is attached to everything which is in mind. Biological is related to brain, psychological is related to mind. There is difference between brain and mind. You guys should explore what is the difference between brain and mind. Okay, so now brain is have a space. Brain have a space where it sits, where brain have a position, but mind do not have any position. So everything happening in our mind, everything happening in our life, which we how we perceive thing, how we understand thing, okay, how we make decisions, everything is attached to our mind. So in psychological point of view, they deal with intellect, cognition, and a lot of other psychodynamic, and uh, a lot of other psychodynamic, we can say it is attached to the functioning of mind. Okay, functioning of mind, and there are a lot of things attached to psychological point of view. The major problem which we see in psychological point of view, in psychological perspective, is that the psychological perspective mainly study the negative side of behavior. Okay, someone is doing abnormal behavior, now we study it psychologically, why it is happening. Okay, mainly it is concerned, it not always study the negative behavior, but majorly it is concerned with the negative behavior or negative thoughts. So now we do have a separate branch in psychological point of view, psychological perspective, which is what, which is positive psychology. Positive psychology study the positive aspect of mind, the self-esteem, the high self-esteem, confidence, well-being, and happiness. All the things, happiness, well-being of a person, well-being of mental health, all the things are studied in positive psychology. So in psychological perspective, we know what how psychological perspective study human brain. They understand that this is cognitive errors a person is having, because if he is having any type of distorted thoughts. So this is how psychological perspective see. And we also study, now we are also studying positive psychology in psychological perspective. The third, last, and but not the least, perspective of psychology is socio-cultural perspective. Socio-cultural, we know we are social animal. We belong to a society. We start our life with a family, which is what a social institution only. Okay, we know family is an institution. We have kin, we have we have a supra system, we have a lot of type of families. Okay, we have a lot of type of association with things. We belong to a culture, we belong to a religion, we belong to a society, we belong to a family. So everything we belong to made some effort to change our attitude, to change our behavior. A family describe a person, what is behavior, what is the first learning you have of behavior, how should you behave. Your mother is saying behave properly, you know what behave properly means. Okay, so your mother have conditioned and nurtured your behavior some way. What mother is, mother is your family, it's part of your family, it's part of an institution. Similarly, if we enlarge the circle, we go to society. Society also shape our culture in some way. Culture also shape ourselves. So in some society, in some tribe, we can say that killing someone is good. They think that a man should be aggressive enough to protect his family. But if we see our society, which is more educated and which is more inclined toward the cognitive parts and intellectual part of society, so what we do is, we know that aggressive behavior is not good for a person. Aggressive behavior is harmful for the society. One should not be aggressive. So there is change in this point of view, perspective of social, है ना, society. Every society have different type of perspective. So what society we belong, we see human behavior from that point of view. Okay, so human behavior is studied by socio-cultural point of view, as if this behavior is suitable for the particular society. It change a lot because it is not universal, because society is not universal. Society is changing in every and different areas of this world. So the society which is studying a behavior, they consider that behavior, is it harmful or is it good for society or not. Okay, so that is how they devise if a behavior is normal or abnormal. So these are the all three perspective attached to psychology. We now know what are the goals of psychology, and we now know what are the perspective and how to look to a behavior. So that's up from my side. Thank you. We'll meet in next class. That's all.